Y'all ain't ready for this. Da-na-na. Welcome to my dojo. Tulakad! Sorry, I had to. I've been watching way too much Outlander lately. But this is my scabbard I salvaged from the first side job I ever had. Fun fact. But another fun fact, I have been addicted to, like I mentioned, Outlander, but particularly movie scenes that have that defining moment when the character comes to himself. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm thinking in Outlander is whenever Jamie, the leader, summons all of his kin to go to battle, and they have a burning of the stag ceremony, and everyone pledges their fealty to the laird. Another, this is one of my favorite movie scenes of all time, is Apocalypto, the one by Mel Gibson, where the main character, Jaguar Paw, escapes his captors and is running through the forest, and he leaps over this like 200-foot waterfall, survives, and is at the other end of it looking up back at his captors who are in pursuit. And he pretty much puts his foot down and says, "This is my forest, bitch." You know, that here I am moment. Braveheart comes to mind too. Freedom! Classic. Anyway, if you are looking for a little inspiration on where do your loyalties lie, who am I, what is my purpose, I'm going to help you clarify that in this video. I want to share with y'all my experience with my first pop-up shop. Shit. I did that I recently acted on an old dream of mine, which was to sell stuff at a pop-up shop. Now, it wasn't a total shit show, but it was probably the closest thing to it. Oh my goodness. What's that saying? When you don't get what you want, you get experience. By that standard, I am fucking Gandalf the White. I swear. And also, something about sharing battle scars in a very real sense. So, where do I start with this? I had spent 50 hours the prior week leading up to the show working on a product that I wanted to sell. And I thought it was going to be a hot commodity. I thought I was going to be sold out. That's not what happened. I barely freaking broke even, and I maybe got a glance or two at the products I particularly made. I did have a smorgasbord of stuff I've been gathering over the years to sell, and honestly, it did feel good just to be out there and doing the damn thing. And that's part of what I want to get into, is how to measure merit and progress, because it's not always clear cut. Like, a lack of progress doesn't always mean failure, and busyness or productivity doesn't always mean you're going in the right direction. So how do you untangle them weeds? You know, that's what I'm about to let you know. Hello, my name's Isaac. I'm here to give you some guidance on getting your shit together and I'm doing so from a place of personal experience. So, if you want to stick around, welcome. How to measure merit. So, most people, I would say, think in terms of ones and zeros. Either you pass or you fail. All or nothing. I'm right away, we're just going to dispense with that. That is an outdated and archaic sense of measurement. And what I'm going to provide for you is an updated version of that. How to really, because maybe like me, you're like, what do I truly want to do? What am I? What is my purpose here? What do I even like, man? If you're in that state, I got some answers for you. Rest assured. One, your calling keeps calling. This is I'm gonna I'm gonna hearken. Is that a word? Promote journaling. If you do not journal, the first step is to journal to get to know yourself and really find out what you like and don't like. And it's a practice of paying attention. Paying attention to what actually catches your attention without force. Like there are certain things that just grab our attention, and how you can a surefire way to know what is for you is that your attention will keep being drawn back to something that is just intrinsically inherently interesting to you. And a lot of the times those things get undercut by our culture, our environment that says they're not worthy, it's a waste of your time, or you're just got your head in the clouds and you need to get real. No, I'm going to say pay attention to the woo. Whatever big ass dreams you got that may seem delusional to others, that's almost exactly what you need to pay attention to. So once you've kind of clarified that, once you've noticed what keeps coming up, so that's just more on that for a second. The pop-up shop, like I had the initial idea, dream to do this 10 years ago. No joke. And it feels good, even though it was not, I did not meet my highest expectations. It solidified something in me that was like, yes, this is the right path. Like I barely broke even with like investment of money. Don't even get me started on time. That is a wash. But again, you don't always measure success by time. So clarifying that, how do you measure merit? What is worth your time and energy? Well, one, like I mentioned, just simply giving yourself the space to explore, like permission to not know. I'm giving you that right now, and you need to give that to yourself, because for some reason it seems like a sin to say I don't know in our culture. Like people think you're uneducated, people think you're not informed. It's like it just seems people freak the fuck out if you say I don't know. It's okay not to know, for real. Um, and you have to have that curiosity, that openness to explore. First thing. Second thing is you got to try it out. You got to dip your foot in the water, and you actually have to have the damn experience. That's what I mean by like me actually acting on the pop-up shop dream I had so many moons ago. Some dreams, they don't die, they're just dormant and they're waiting on you to act on them. And me acting on that pop-up shop dream, it paid off in dividends with emotional fulfillment. Like I had a blast. I had a good time. And that's so you have to start measuring merit from within instead of without. Yes, without is important and it's going to come, but it has to matter to you first. So, Kaizen, if you're not familiar with that term, look it up, but it's something along the lines of continual improvement. So, you have to have an idea, right? You got to dream and vision. You got to put that idea to the test. You actually have to do the damn thing. And then you have to optimize and see refinement. So stop thinking of like I either passed or fails and thinking in terms of how can I improve this? What 80/20. That's the second rule. So Kaizen, look for or instead of measuring with pass or fail, measure with improvement and refinement. And then the second rule is 80/20. You have to start measuring the positive more than the negative. If you're anything like me, the negative comes naturally. You can suss out what is not working like that. Like it's not even a second thought. It comes naturally. So it's going to feel unnatural to start focusing on what did go right, but it's a practice. Got to practice. For example, positives of the pop-up shop was that I actually fulfilled a dream I had. I met some new people, and I got to sell some stuff. Like it feels movement is medicine, and it feels good just to flow with life. The concept of flow was coming through. I had ample time. Like it was a pretty slow show, I'm not gonna lie. And so I got to read the book Arigato Money. And in that book, the author Ken Honda talks about flow. And so if you're feeling stagnant and stuck, it's probably because you haven't acted on some inspiration of yours. So the smallest step you can take towards that inspiration will start to open the floodgates. So you just have to continually open the flow. Stay stoked. I'm getting like contradicting messages about water and fire. Staying stoked. Like you have to tend to the fire. Whatever element you want to work with, it has to be nurtured and tended to. With continual, I don't want to say effort because, again, sometimes, like, our culture values busyness. Productivity is dignity, right? Wrong. Like, the Germans had a saying, "Albit macht frei," and that was the headliner to Auschwitz, the Nazi concentration camp. So I do not buy into that mindset. So effort isn't always the defining feature, but you do have to put in action. Another concept behind Ken Honda's book was true faith versus blind faith. And true faith is what requires action. It's acting on the inspiration. And then blind faith is just being willing to enter the unknown with a positive framework of this is going to work out in my favor. Even when it doesn't, again, when you don't get what you want, you get experience. And you simply, like, that's just part of doing the damn thing. You can failure is a part of the game. Like, I'm not going to tell you failure doesn't suck. I'm not going to tell you to reframe it in a positive mindset and, like, keep it as a lesson learned. Like, that doesn't work for me either. But just know it's simply, it's a part of it. Like, you can't bypass it. And those that do, avoid those people because they're crusty crabs. But where was I going with all that? Blind faith versus true faith. So, another quote that's coming to mind. The opposite of faith is not doubt, it's certainty. And that's what I mean by crusty crabs. Ugh. High. Do I want to say that? Toxic masculinity, I will say, overvalues certainty because they see any form of doubt as weakness. Oh my Lanta. Lord have mercy. What a limited way to live. Truly. Doubt is natural. Every emotion is given to us. We were born feeling creatures. So, how to deal with it, right? Like, accept it and work with it. And it's not just a total rejection, it's acting in the face of doubt and fear. And it's because certainty wants to bypass the vulnerability that is required to act on your dreams and visions, because simply admitting to yourself what you want is a very, very vulnerable act, because it means you cannot get what you want, right? But you know it's worthwhile if you bring it to light and you test it out. It has to be refined. I'm getting stonecutter analogies. It's not the first strike that chisels the sculpture, it's the 10,000th. I think. Shout out to Aaron with the Stonecutters podcast. Please come back. I miss that podcast. And that leads me into my fourth measure of merit of whether or not you should stick with something is Sitzfleisch. Back to German reference. I have strong German roots in my heritage. While yes, there are tyrannical elements to that culture, the positive side of that is the ability to get the job done, to persevere, to Sitzfleisch simply means sitting your ass down and doing the work until it's done, to follow through. That is an ability, again, that has to be practiced. You are what you repeatedly do. And so, if you're not sure where to go or what to do, and you're only sitting there with like inklings, you have to put them to the test and give it the time and energy it requires. There's no bypassing that. So how much time, right? That's important. Oh my goodness. I don't know. Ooh, that's a good question. How much time? Because sometimes you do need to pivot and move. And I don't know. Okay, personally, I would say if you're trying to find your calling, and back to the art of noticing, because it's not always forced. Like, yes, you have to sit down and do the work, but also you have to allow it to come to you. And if the energy is currency, and that's something I should have started with. How to measure something of merit is pay attention to the energetic exchange. If it's not giving back to you an emotional fulfillment and excitement and joy and curiosity, and like if you can't not stop thinking about it, does that make sense? If you can't not think about it, why does that sound so weird? You get what I'm saying? If you can't think, if you can't, if you can't not think about it, that's almost that's almost a certain. Oh my God, Lord, give me grace. If you find yourself continuously thinking about a topic, a subject of interest, that's for you. Like, it's easy. Loving is easy. It doesn't have to be forced. Unforced, no holding back. Okay. And then again, if you're still confused on what is right for you, this is going to seem counterintuitive, but triggers point the way. Pay attention to what pisses you off, because that points to a core value of yours. Anger is an indicator of what really matters to you, in my opinion. And so, if you give credence to things that upset you, it's always going to lead you to something you hold with great importance. There's got to be more than this. That type of moment. Like, so I have a core value: acceptance and commitment therapy. I'm just throwing that in there real quick. That'll help you clarify who you are, and that in turn will help you clarify what you want to do with your life. Because in my experience, it started with who you are and not so much a particular passion pursuit. You know what I mean? But got to be more than this. Going back to that, I know in my heart and soul that I am an entrepreneur by nature. Simply because I have put in time and effort in working for other people, and almost every single time I was disappointed and let down, and just this sense that I can do better. There has got to be better than this shit, and that means you are the change you want to see. That's the main point here. Is like, if you think you can do better, put it to the test. And I'm saying that with some resistance, because I know entrepreneur frame is usually looked at as what's the saying, like, as people who are unemployed but want to label themselves as something, right? No, entrepreneur in spirit, like the donut maker down the street who owns his own business, who wakes up at 2 a.m. every morning and goes to bed at 8 p.m. every night, is an entrepreneur. Is he making $1 million? Probably not. But he's betting on himself. And that's the spirit of it. Is like, I would rather choose my own fate. I would rather put my life in my hands than give it to somebody else. And that essence, whether you've been super fucking successful or you're just starting out, it makes you an entrepreneur. And like, so many people get offended by that. They want to say, who do you think you are, right? But that's back to the main message of like those moments of when you're like, this is who I am and I'm here to stay. No more half-assing shit. Anything, work, relationships, like, I feel that way in my current career. Like, I chose home remodeling off of half-truths, I would say. It's like, I love working with my hands. I love using my body. I love tangible results. And I love being my own boss and having control of my own time. And all of those elements are within the current career I have of home remodeling. But there's something more. There's something missing. So even though I've made positive steps in that direction, my heart hungers for something else, for something more. So, whole ham only. And what I mean by that is the yeses that come to our heart, that big, like, fuck yes. And that's usually hidden and shrouded behind a bunch of disappointment, a bunch of past regret, a bunch of other people's projections and opinions. Give yourself permission to give your whole heart. Give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to fly. And be willing to die on that hill for the things you love. I hope this was helpful, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.